Charles. Every new friend makes an effort to propagate the new presentation, and I stress the importance of a little creativity in reaching out to others. It would seem Duane has done everything, and all we need to do is copy and paste it. But I think this is a mistake. I've been communicating with a friend in the UK who first rejected the new presentation, perhaps out of fear of betraying the Master. With my recent correspondence with him, I've not been using Duane's direct work, but I carefully write something in response to what he wants to know. He now seems responsive and asked me a question that baffled me, and it was if Duane only addresses people of a certain intellectual level. He finds what Duane is presenting a little difficult. He speculates that some may not be able to understand what Duane is saying. I conveyed to him Duane's stance on intellectualism, and too much intellectual consideration is a hindrance to real freedom. He was a little dumbfounded when I told him about Duane's own education, because he asked me where all this information comes from. He is a corporation member and only talks about the love of God, etc. I realized that what I communicated with him was effective, using my own technique to present him with what he needed to know at that moment. I answered his questions with a view to making him understand in a nutshell what the new presentation is about and who Duane is. I refrained from giving him a lot of material to go through, and I'm of the opinion that we act as transformers for what Duane is presenting, explaining it in simpler terms to give people the initial interest. Everything has already been done and is clear, but much of the material is difficult to understand, and I think this isn't made easier by Duane's special language. We should develop our own creativity in reaching out to people, rather than giving some standard answers, which may make the new presentation more approachable. Some people need a surety, security, human touch, and if that's provided, people may be more confident to approach. We act then as middle men between the person who seeks to become more aware and Duane, and the real universal guides. We act as transformers, as a buffer zone. Duane responds, "That's what always has been implied, and you're getting it now. When I meet someone, I don't just lay materials on them. I hear what they have to say. I see what they are deciding. I let them know I'm a writer, and they will then ask what I write, etc. And I just start from there. It depends upon where they are going. Regarding the interesting language I've created, it's really not for the intellects." And Paul used to say too that this isn't for the intellect. The intellects become confused, even though it's really very simple once you catch onto it. But you really have to learn to read between the lines more than anything. The intellects read words literally. That is what literature is. And why is it that people study things like Latin, Sanskrit, and all these other things and languages, as these all are very tough? What I'm writing is really right out there and very simple. To the intellect, what I'm writing is strange, because they have their own way of understanding, and yes, most people can't understand where Duane gets all this information. I don't need to copy or read anything. That's not the idea. Everything has come off my own personal experiences and what I see, and that's the best part. If I need information from the world, then that's different. That's just information and what's going on, and others tend to let me know. I'm not paying attention to everything. I'm focusing on what I am, setting things up and maintaining them. It's not about the intellectualism, because I'm not an intellectual. I utilize the intellectual vehicle of myself that I've created. I didn't learn it at school. I didn't become absorbed to be the intellectual. I created that vehicle just for the writings to relate in that particular way. But I don't see it as intellectual. People may take it that way, based on what I write, may consider me smart or whatever, but it's not that at all. What I'm writing and relating to is what I see, and the best part of my experience is to see what's next from the unknown. The intellect, however, only goes to the known, the one-dimensional structure of this world. So when this is presented to the intellectuals, they can't really relate to it. But people who are not intellectual, who are more free with themselves, they start to pick it up and understand it. It just depends on how geared an individual is to the world. So the challenge is there, and there is no perfect way to present this. The sun shining is the best example of what I'm presenting, but you have to learn to see it, and to relate that to an intellect will have them thinking that you're just fantasizing. Actually, yes, fantasy is closer to reality than this one-dimensional structured world that's been geared to just see things one way, black or white. Then with the idea of fantasy, we have someone who is actually looser with themselves instead of structured, and they start to see more. The intellects who want to control others negate fantasy altogether, like children who have experiences with their invisible friends, and how these experiences are negated by the intellects. I never negated any of that with my daughter. This is the world, and we keep negating it until it's all dark. I made the decision, and that's why I do the homeschooling, etc., that there is some light here, some real light, All people see who are a part of this world is the structure of it, and yes, you do see the colours that make it up. Realistically, however, no matter how you see it, it's all dark. You're actually not seeing it. You're seeing the phenomena of colour, but you're not seeing the reality. The intellects rule this world, and they are destroying it. Look at people and the jobs they have, and who pays them. Look at what they are contributing toward. They are consciously and unconsciously contributing toward the demise of this world. And does that make sense?